What's happening, everybody? 2 minutes, 40 seconds. We'll be rolling. Rodney Brown, Mesquite, Texas, good to see you. Marty Miller, as always, great to see you. Even my dad is out there watching. It's just such a good day. Hey, Dad. Bud Cantor, good to see you. Wait Ellis, Anna Claypool, great to see you as well. Micah Messer, as always, my friend. I like your new profile picture, by the way. Good to see you. It's a whole family, right? It's a whole family there, Micah. I like it a lot. Good to see you. Lane Cummings, good to see you. Hey, Jody. Roberto, nice to see you on here as well. Let's see some others. Kevin Cook from NAS Jacks. Good to see you, my friend, as well. Username Fly with Mac. Roberto Perez, good to see you. Perermit, good to see you. Mike Murdoch, nice to see you as well. Hey, we're going live. What's my countdown, Magda? We're getting close. 1 minute, 45 seconds. We'll be right back with you all. MzeroA Online Ground School. Jason here. Happy Friday night. So good to see so many of you. Chuck, good to see you. Jim Beauchart's out there, everybody. He said, Jason, it's the smile you can see from 3 statute miles away. I don't know where he got that from, but anyways, Jim, everybody out there, good to see you all watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook. We're streaming to both locations simultaneously. So thankful to be with you all here today. We are concluding this April accident analysis series. We're doing it as we're doing each event now with a little bit of a live stream. And I'll be bringing to you, we're going to be dissecting 3 NTSB reports here this evening. My goal is to have you out of here by the top of the hour. But before I do that, let's say hi. Who on earth is out there watching as well? Mike Murdoch, great to see you. Says rainy weekend in the Tampa area. There's a bunch of Facebook users. It may be a privacy issue, or maybe you're watching in the MzeroA Nation group is why it comes up Facebook user. But hi to you all. Good to see you all here. Hey, tonight we are giving away that survival kit to one lucky winner as well. So really looking forward to that. I was thinking, what's an appropriate giveaway during an accident analysis series, right? We're talking about accidents and stuff like that. I think a survival kit, because you're never going to need it. But you have it. You know, something you will need that we're also giving away in that kit as well is a carbon monoxide detector. This is just one of the manual ones, and I will tell you, it says save a life, and I will tell you this has truly saved Magda and I's life. Many of you know the story. I'll get into it later as we're talking. But before I do, any first timers out there, any first timers, first time watching MzeroA live stream live like this, type in me in the chat so I can say hi to you and give you a personalized little shout out as well. Again, this is super interactive. So when I break eye contact with you and I look that way, I'm seeing Brian Pearson and David the Aviator and Musfara and Days Ahead and Jason Singer, first time, Dayton, Ohio. How is the weather in Dayton, Ohio? Jason Singer, great first name, by the way, as well. Great to have so many of you on here. Zach as well, New Era RC, great to see you. Hey, Neil, good to see you. He says, good morning from Dublin. Is it morning time in Dublin? I mean, it might be 1 a.m. It might be past midnight. That might count. That might count, Neil. Good to see you. Hey, Clint. Hey, Anders. Good to see you on here as well. Hey, do I have any of our online ground school members out there watching? Type in me in the chat so I can say hi to you all. I mean, I talk to you all every week anyways, but it's great to see you all on here as well. Welcome to an amazing, amazing family. And if you're not an MzeroA Online Ground School member, you know you can always check it out, always take a trial of it, see if that Jason guy is right for you, for passing that written test, passing that check ride, MzeroAtrial.com. There's our ground school members, Andre, Brian, Clint, good to see, Lane, good to see you. Hey, Danielle, great to see you all on here as well. So I was sharing earlier, we're giving away this survival kit to one lucky winner. I don't know who it is yet, so they do not need to be present to win, but hopefully it's you. I mentioned about how the CO detector saved our life, magnetized lives, this winter time. We were dropping the kids off to my parents. We fly into the Leesburg airport when we do that. And we were on our way out. We were in 23 Mike Zulu. You know me, I always taxi, the doors open, it's Florida air conditioning. We get to the run-up area, the cabin heat is on. We get to the run-up area and I stop. And we have an electronic CO detector and it starts beeping. And I thought, that's strange. First off, I said, what is that noise? I've never heard that noise before. I've heard a lot of beeps from my airplane, but I never heard that before. That was a new beep to me. So I looked around and realized what it was. And I said, it's the CO. So I went and I said, you know what? I turned it off. I said, you know, maybe it's just because the doors are open. I got a little bit of a tailwind. Maybe some backdraft just kind of blew in. That's what set it off. I turned the cabin heat off just in case and the alarm shut off. I do my whole run up. Magda and I get to the hold short line. We shut the doors. I say, you know what? Let me give it just one more chance. I can't make this up. I pull the cabin heat on. Before I even get the cabin heat, it's a pull. Before I even get it all the way back to on, it's beeping again. I said, this is probably real. I close it, we ventilate the cabin. I tell ATC, we're not taking off yet, let's just wait. We ventilate it, everything is good. We fly home with no heat. And I still have the picture. I'm not allowed to show the picture because the kids left their Moana blanket in the plane and Magda, the whole flight home, she's always cold, was just wrapped in a Moana Disney blanket the entire flight home. That's general aviation sometimes. But listen, this survival kit isn't just for when things hit the fan. This is above and beyond that because we are in the business of making safer, smarter pilots. And let me tell you something. Great to see you, Vicky Mackey. Good to see you, Michael John, and many others as well. You know, my whole focus and my reason for even doing this live stream tonight and doing all these videos, you know it. I don't like talking about accidents. But I believe we're doing the pilots involved in these accidents a disservice if we choose not to learn from it, if we just say that's data, that's statistics, and we brush it under the rug, right? So that's just something I want to learn and grow from. So it is my prayer tonight that this live stream saves just one life. It's a simple goal. It's a goal we'll probably never be able to track. But I am here to tell you, as far as your learning goes, as far as if you're prepping for a written test, if you're prepping for a check ride, maybe you're just trying to be the safest, smartest pilot you can be, I am here to tell you that that revival, well, it starts here tonight. If you are ready to participate full out in that, if you are ready to agree in that, type in me in the chat so I have your agreement because I know you're going to play full out. I know you're going to look at these accidents with an unbiased opinion. You're going to take a step back, put yourselves in their shoes and say, okay, what can I learn from this? So if you're committed to playing full out, and that's all I ask of you, if you have questions, if you have comments, you'll put it in the chat. But for now, type in me in the chat so I know you are ready to play full out. And we will get started. Thank you for that agreement. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, David the Aviator. Tatum, thank you, thank you, thank you. Revival starts tonight on that. So let's dive right into it here. Let's work through it. Now, here's what I want you to do. We're going to go over three accidents here tonight. And what I want you to do is I want you, anytime you see what I call the chain of events leading up to an accident, the chain of events of an accident, I want you to type in the word strike in the chat. Like, that's a strike, right? 3 strikes and you're out. Aviation, sometimes less, sometimes more is how it works. But anytime I read something that makes you go, no chance, that's a strike for me, I'm sitting this one out, coach. Kind of thing, all right? I want this to be interactive with all of this here, okay? So let's do this here together. This accident happened on May 29th of 2009. It's a Mooney M20D, registration November 6628 uniform. The NTSB calls this CFIT, or Controlled Flight into Terrain. On May 29th, 2009, a Mooney M20D, November 6628 uniform, was involved in an accident near Clintwood, Virginia. The aircraft collided with mountainous terrain, resulting in the death of the pilot and substantial damage to the aircraft. The flight was conducted as a personal flight under Visual Flight Rules, VFR. No flight plan was filed, nor weather briefing obtained. If you're not typing in strike in the chat, you should be. No weather brief was obtained. Witnesses in the area reported that they observed the airplane descending in a circle to get beneath the clouds and then continuing in its original direction. Timeout, timeout. So witnesses observed this airplane, maybe caught a hole in the clouds or something like that, was heading this direction, saw a hole in the clouds to get down below it, spiraled down to get down below it. As if it wasn't bad enough, you got stuck on top. Let's just keep going where we were going. I'm sure the weather will get better, right? If you've followed MzeroA for any length of time, you know my rule. The weather's not going to get better the deeper you go into it, right? The right call would have been, yes, get out of that situation and then just keep heading back home. Would have been the proper situation. But descend, get below the clouds, and still push forward to feel like you have to be there. That's what we call get there-itis. And I'm sure no one here has ever had get there-itis before. You know my rule. If you ever have to be anywhere in aviation, and trust me, as a business person myself, there's some meetings that you just can't miss. I totally get it. And those meetings, and with the MzeroA team and my wife as witnesses, we'll airline it to those meetings. If we're flying GA, we'll leave a few days early, or we'll rent a car. You never have to be anywhere in general aviation. So he continued in his original direction. The aircraft then passed in and out of the clouds, says this witness, before disappearing from sight. Another witness saw the aircraft flying in a northerly direction towards a mountain ridge they knew was there. The aircraft then flew into a fog bank at the top of the mountain, followed by they heard the sound of a crash. Examination did not reveal any mechanical or flight control problems that would have contributed to the accident. Radar data indicated the aircraft was in a slow descending turn from 5,900 feet, approximately 32 minutes into the flight, then reversed its course, then continued to descend, and then eventually turned back its original course direction, kind of all over the place here. Radar contact was lost at an altitude of 2,800 feet. Probable cause, continued flight into instrument conditions, and CFIT, controlled flight into terrain. Now listen to these contributing factors that the NTSB added that weren't in what I just read to you. Environmental issues. Well, fog was present at the top of the mountain when the accident occurred, likely reducing visibility and making it challenging for the pilot to maintain visual reference. Personal issues as well. The pilot, just months before, experienced the death of his father, and that same week, his wife filed for divorce. Wow. You see, you read this now, and you think, and maybe some of you have been through either or both of those situations before, and you think about the mental state that places you in sometimes, right? You all know we have a thing called the I'm safe checklist, right? Illness, medication, et cetera, all the way down to stress and emotion. And let me tell you, I know there's some of you out there that say, oh, I go flying as my stress reliever. And that is probably very true. For myself, flying is not a stress reliever. Other things are. Going to the gym, those sort of things can be instead. But you just look at this and imagine those compounding emotions and stress. It's another strike. It reminds me so much to like the JFK Jr. crash. You know, JFK Jr. broke his left ankle 23 days before the accident. You see, the chain of events or the strikes in an accident, they don't have to happen the day of the accident. They can happen months before with large emotional events like a death or divorce, or even positive things too, like the birth of a child, which leads to a unique stress and a lack of sleep and everything else. We have to look at this I'm safe checklist rather objectively when we do it. In addition to this, we don't know how many hours the pilot had. The pilot had his logbook on board. Last thing here, as far as medical conditions, the pilot did have a history, I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, of myasthenia gravis. How do I do, Magda? She doesn't know. It's a neuromuscular disorder, but he was in complete remission at the time of the accident. Although the condition's unlikely to be directly related to the accident, the pilot may have been distracted by symptoms of stress or back pain, which could have also affected his performance. Accident number 1. What were the 2 big things that jumped out to you the most? Type those in the chat. I would say the 2 biggest things, first off, no weather brief. Team, that's you. There is no excuse to not get a weather brief. This isn't the olden days anymore, where the only way was to call up on the phone and you'd say, briefer. And then who remembers this? And you'd say, Florida. And it would say, did you say Iowa? You say, no, Florida. I think you said Wyoming. Who remembers that? Am I the only person that remembers that? And you'd get, by the end of it, like, I don't want a briefing anyways. And you would get this, come on, I can't be the only person that remembers fighting with the robot voice, right? Before robot voices were any good. Nowadays, you get it all on your EFB, your electronic flight bag, whether that's ForeFlight, whether that's Garmin Pilot, whether that's Wing. It doesn't matter what it is. You get all your briefings there. Now, now you can still call, and I do still call. You don't fight with it as much. Now it just recognizes my phone number. We're all like on a first name basis, me and Lido's flight service station. And they just know they assume I'm in Florida as well. Stan remembers. I'm glad. But yeah, no weather brief, and then the death of his father and the divorce. And you know what? Things happen in life, right? We're not immune from adversity. Now, it's all about how we handle that adversity and how we choose to see the seeds of good in that adversity. But all of us deal with adversity differently. And how are we going to handle that? And are you safe enough to get in the airplane and fly your absolute best in IFR conditions in mountainous terrain as well? It's just something else to think about there. All right, let's look at our next one. I'll say hi to a few others. Hey, Austin, great beard, by the way. Can we show Austin's picture? I got to finally meet Austin it's so funny. So Austin came to say hi to me at Sun and Fun with his family. And he was there, and every live stream I tell Austin he has the best beard in aviation. Well, funny enough, there was another gentleman behind him that also had a great beard. And I told Austin he had the greatest beard, and the guy behind him got, like, wow, Jason, like, you think Anyways, awesome numbers what I'm talking about. For those of you just joining it, tonight's the big night. We're giving away the survival kit. I know you've already entered. Entries are closed on that. You're going to really like what we're giving away next month. I can't let the cat out of the bag, but you'll see next week what we're giving away next month as well. So, anyways, so the divorce, the death of his father, no weather brief, and man, the big one for me is that, I found a hole, let's dive down, let's get underneath the layer, but let's still keep going where I'm going. This is why I'm such a big fan of your alternates being ahead of you. Do you know what I mean when I say your alternates ahead of you? Magda, is it okay if I draw real quick? You know I like drawing. You know what I mean when I say your alternate ahead of you? I've drawn this before on a live stream. I drew it not too long ago for our ground school members. If I'm doing a flight from, I don't know, let's say Naples, APF, to Ocala, OCF. Let me draw Ocala a little bit closer so I can make my point here. Let's say OCF is here. If I am doing this as my route here, I would never plan my alternate beyond OCF. I would never say, okay, Gainesville, which is a little bit further north, as my alternate. I'll put an A for alternate. Why is that? I'll instead do my alternate or my backup plan as something like Lakeland in the middle. Because here's what happens. If I am flying along and all of a sudden the weather starts getting really, really nasty right through here, well, I can just go ahead and dip into Lakeland and be done with it on my way. The weather's not going to get any better, right? As opposed to if I get here and go, oh man, I'm in a pickle, I'm in a jam here, I'm going to go to my alternate of Gainesville. Well, no, you're not. You're just going to fly into worse weather. In this case, this gentleman descended down, made a U-turn, and still kept trying to go that way. This is why your backup plan should be along your route and about the midpoint. You can go a little bit, maybe 60% into your route, maybe as much as 70% into your route. But the other thing is here too, if I'm going and all of a sudden I still don't like Ocala, now I can turn around and just go back to Lakeland because I know I wouldn't have kept flying past Lakeland. I wouldn't have given up a great airport if I thought the weather was going to get worse. Does that make sense to everybody? Keep your alternates along your route of flight. It will end up saving your life. You may have to pay an extra landing fee. You may have to burn a little more gas. You may do a lot of those things. You know, just the other day I made that exact same flight from Naples to Ocala. The weather was okay, but it was IFR on the way back, and I said, you know what, give me fuel. I only burned an hour of fuel. I said, I want to take as much fuel as I can. So again, and if you can apply what we just, can we all agree? Can you type in me in the chat again, that you agree, yes, Jason, I'm gonna plan my alternates along my route of flight within that first 50 to 70% type range. I'm gonna stop planning my alternates beyond where I'm going because the weather will not get better. You're not gonna keep punching through that weather. You're gonna plan it where you can dip off early or you can make a U-turn and come back to it. Keep your alternates, keep your backups in front of you. That would have saved this gentleman's life here today. Thank you for the agreeance in that. Appreciate it. Again, as Clint will tell you, what's the goal here? What's the prayer? It's to save just one life. And sometimes that's a stat we can track because you'd be amazed. I've gotten emails from you all. I've seen the Facebook messages from you all where, Jason, you saved my life today. And that just warms our heart. I hope to, I'd rather receive those messages than reading and doing NTSB reports as far as that goes. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Grace. Awesome. Thank you, Stan. All right, let's look at the next one here because my goal is to have you out of here by the top of the hour. This is a Piper Seneca. That's a little step up from a Seminole. A great little plane. Many of you, anybody ever flown a Seneca before? Great airplane. Been around, not forever, but been around since I'd say the 80s or so. Really just solid airframe. Listen to this. On June 25th, 2006, a Piper PA-34-220T, registration November 8371 X-ray, was involved in a fatal accident near Tafton, Pennsylvania. The aircraft was on a personal flight from Piedmont Triad International Airport, GSO in Greensboro, North Carolina, to Sanford Regional Airport in Sanford, Maine. Listen to this. The aircraft experienced an in-flight breakup and subsequently impacted the terrain. The certificated private pilot, a pilot-rated passenger, and a second passenger on board were fatally injured. Instrument conditions prevailed at the time, and they did obtain a weather briefing. In the previous accident, they didn't obtain a weather briefing. This time it says the accident occurred in an area with thunderstorm activity. The pilot had obtained an updated weather briefing and was aware of the severe weather along the flight route. The radar data indicated the presence of moderate to heavy intense echoes consistent with a convective cell or thunderstorm in the area where the accident occurred. Now, knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is potential power. You see, the last one we said one of the strikes, one of the links in the chain of events was they didn't get a weather briefing. Well, now we have an accident where they did get a weather briefing. However, they didn't take the right action with it. Now, I know they were flying on an instrument flight plan, so they didn't hear the magic words, VFR flight not recommended. Who's ever heard that before? I'm sure that phrase has saved some lives before. But when they share thunderstorm activity, intense, moderate to heavy intensity echoes consistent with convective cell or thunderstorm in the area. Just what day did I last fly, Magda? Wednesday? On Wednesday I was flying. I was right out of Naples. This is the same flight I was just telling you about where I grabbed back extra fuel. At the same flight, I was filed to go up to, I want to say like 9,000 feet. And I'm climbing through and they switched me over to Fort Myers. And as soon as I switch over to Fort Myers, there's a Southwest 737 calling up and saying, hey, just a pirate for you. At 8,000 feet, we're experiencing moderate turbulence. I said, 8,000 feet, a 737, descending into Fort Myers, which is right in front of me. I'm already getting bumped around a little bit here. I called up ATC and said, hey, checking in, I'd like to amend my altitude. I'm gonna do this whole flight at 3,000 feet because I could stay, I'm going under the clouds. I want nothing to do. If it's moderate turbulence for a 737, what's it gonna be for my little airplane? It's gonna be what we're talking about, possibly, right? Contributing factor number 2 was the decision making. Despite being aware of the severe weather conditions, the pilot chose to continue the flight. The pilot did have a GPS receiver with weather radar capability. Remember, this is 2006, by the way, so start to think, if you've been flying that long, what GPS receiver with weather radar capability they have in 2006? It was a Garmin 396. Anybody remember the Garmin 396? Amazing little machine. I had one, but still. But the exact use of the equipment couldn't be determined encountering the severe weather. The aircraft's flight path entered into an area of moderate to heavy intensity echoes on the weather radar, indicating the presence of convective cells or thunderstorms. The encounter with severe weather likely contributed to the in-flight breakup of the aircraft. A lack of recent flight instrument experience. The pilot had a private pilot certificate with an instrument rating and had logged approximately 140 hours of actual instrument flight experience. However, the pilot had not logged any additional instrument flight experience in multi-engine airplanes since obtaining his multi-engine land rating. Lack of recent instrument flight experience could have affected the pilot's ability to make sound decisions and handle the instrument conditions effectively. The aircraft suffered an in-flight breakup, resulting in the separation of both wings outboard of their respective engines. The exact cause of the in-flight breakup could not be determined from the available information. It went on to say in the NTSB report that witnesses saw debris falling from the sky for about a half an hour. What does that mean? It means the plane broke up and the pieces, just like how convective activity works, would come down and updraft would pick it up, right? And it was just going through this cycle till it, just like rain, broke free, was heavy enough, and actually impacted the ground. It says this accident was likely caused by the pilot's decision to continue flight into an area of severe weather despite being aware of the weather conditions. The encounter with severe weather led to the in-flight breakup of the aircraft. Contributing factors include inadequate weather information, lack of recent flight experience, and the presence of thunderstorm activity along the flight route. Now, listen here, team. We are getting into summertime right now. We're going to be dealing with all this nasty convective activity, and I need you all just to take such a humble approach when it comes to thunderstorms. Taking it a step further back, let me tell you something. You need an instrument rating. If you are not instrument rated, will you make me a commitment that you will begin to study, that you'll begin to pursue it? Again, I have a strong bias, but you know we have the best instrument online ground school on the market. Again, MzeroAtrial.com. Magda can put that up on your screen, thank you. So you can try that out. Everybody needs an instrument rating. When you are budgeting to learn to fly, don't just budget for your private pilot. You need a budget to be a current pilot, a proficient pilot, earn your instrument, and listen, honestly, at a minimum, just get the knowledge. Just get the, it will save your life. You know, the most important flight maneuver that you could ever learn, I believe, is under the hood, under the foggles, a standard rate 180-degree turn. I accidentally flew into a cloud. I'll make that standard rate, nice, easy, 180-degree turn. I teach that to every learner, to every student, and I truly believe that is one of the most important maneuvers you can learn. So, are you committed to earning an instrument rating? I need you to be. I love you all too much. An instrument rating is going to make you a safer, smarter pilot in everything that you do. And I know you may not want to go blazing approaches down to minimums or anything like that, but just trust me, the knowledge that you will gain from this will make you that safer, smarter pilot. So thank you for those of you who are agreeing. Agreeance is such, I'm so big on it. Magda and I, even with the children, are so big on the power of our words, right? And when we can come to agreement on this, and you are confessing this in front of hundreds of your closest friends, myself included in the MzeroA team, like, we will be your accountability partner on this. You know, one thing our online ground school members will tell you is, this isn't just a course in good luck. This is truly a family knit together. This is a community. And I hope you see that, feel that, and realize that in everything we do here at MzeroA, and not just through the online ground school, but YouTube, Facebook, the podcasts, everything. So we're doing great time-wise. Let me get one more in here for you, then we'll go to a different little session, then we'll give away the survival kit as well. Well, I want to answer Lauren's question here. Lauren, great to see you. Thoughts on instrument versus commercial first if hours in cross-country time isn't a factor? You know, the only time I encourage someone to go private commercial is if they have a commercial job that they can do on a private commercial without an instrument rating. Because remember, Lauren, how limited you are for your commercial jobs. You're towing banners, you're spraying crops, you're like doing little local things like that, a commercial pilot without an instrument rating. I believe it would benefit you more just go private instrument commercial. It is a little tricky, I'll tell you, because you're private pilot, look outside, everybody. Remember, don't forget to look outside. Instrument pilot, stop looking outside. Jason, I told you only look inside. Commercial pilot, okay, go back outside again. Right? It doesn't make any sense. And then CFI, now sit in the right seat. It's like, can I just do something normal for once? Aviation's weird. Like, I wish I was back with Orville and Wilbur when they were mapping this stuff. I was like, guys, this doesn't make it. Just do it this way. Don't make it. But anyways, I wasn't there. All right, here's our next one as well. And this one I have some graphics that we'll show here in a second. Listen to this. This is a Cessna 206, November 2467 X-ray. On January 11, 2005, a Cessna 206 hotel aircraft, registration November 2467 X-ray, and operated by Huntsville Flight Center, was involved in a fatal accident shortly after takeoff from Huntsville International Carl T. Jones Field, HSV, Huntsville, Alabama. The instrument-rated private pilot, okay, and private pilot-rated passenger on board both sustained fatal injuries, and the aircraft was destroyed. The flight was being conducted under Part 91 and an IFR flight plan was filed. But the accident That paragraph there got my attention. I said, that's interesting. Let's read it. According to records from the Anniston Automated Flight Service Station, the pilot obtained an abbreviated weather briefing and filed an IFR flight plan at 1752 for a flight from HSV to FTY Brown Field in Atlanta, Georgia. The pilot contacted HSV Clearance Delivery Controller at 18:07 and 53 seconds to obtain the flight's IFR clearance. At 18:14, the pilot contacted Ground Control to confirm readiness to taxi. The ground controller provided weather information regarding level 5 weather activity. So you're on the ground, and the ground controller says, hey, 23 Mike Zulu, I've got some level 5 weather activity. Well, if you're like me, I read that and I thought, okay, that sounds important. That sounds bad, but this is Jason just humbly speaking. I didn't totally know what level 5 weather activity meant. Am I the only one? So, thanks to my search assistant Google, I went over to found NOAA's website where they break down what do they call it? Level 5 weather activity is. Look at this with me. Look at the right-hand side of your screen. Hazard level, very significant. Heat index, they give you the different temperatures. If it applies, again, one of these things has to apply to make it level 5. It could be wind chill. It could be blowing dust or smoke. Look at the winds. It literally says hurricane force. Look at hail. That's a greater than 3 inches. Now look at this next one that says wind. I had to go to my Spanish wife to learn this one. Magda, how am I doing with this? Derecho. Do I sound, okay, which means straight in Spanish. Can we show that again real quick? Do you see where it says wind? Let me get my cursor on your screen real quick. Do you see right here? Derecho. I sound like a comic book character. Okay, I didn't know what a derecho was. So I went to my next favorite search partner, Google Images. And Google Images gave me this image when I searched derecho. And I thought, understood. Comprende, amigo, right? Just to continue my Spanish analogy. It says a widespread, long-lived, straight-line windstorm that is associated with a fast-moving group of severe thunderstorms. Can I ask a question? Remember how I told you it's so important, the agreeance for me? Can we all agree? Can we show the picture one more time, Magda? Can we all agree that if we are on the ground and thinking about getting in our airplane and you see this, you tie it down really, really good? Like with multiple ropes, with chains, go to your local gym and get some of those 45-pound plates and just weigh that thing down. Seriously? I should have found the derecho in Oshkosh that messed up 23 Mike Zulu so bad. Can we all agree? So when they say level 5 weather activity, just to go back to that slide, not only is it a derecho, but it also says, look at winter weather. Again, paralyzing winter weather. Now in Florida, I don't know what that is, but Pete in Ohio might know what paralyzing winter weather is. Record flooding, a dam breaking. Like this is the kind of stuff we're talking about when we're talking about level 5 weather activity. Our story continues. Who learned something? What level 5 weather activity is? I didn't know that. And now you know a new Spanish word, derecho. Okay. The controller provided weather information about level 5 weather activity, which we've all agreed is a no-go. Really, can we show the chart one more time, Magda? I think if it's 2 or more, it's a no-go for me if it's 2 or more. Level 5 weather activity to the south of the airport moving northeast. The ground controller suggested using runway 36 right for departure to avoid the weather. But the pilot requested departure from 18 left, and I'll just receive vectors to avoid the weather. I gotta draw it real quick, if that's okay. Sorry to draw so much, Magda. I know we didn't rehearse this. She always tells me, go over your slides, tell me everything you're gonna do, so I know how to move the cameras, and sometimes I just make things up with this. So what was it? The ground controller suggested using 3.6, okay? Suggested using 3.6. He opted 3.6 because over here is your derecho. And the controller said, hey, if you're going to take off, let's use 3.6 and let's just get you up and out of here. The pilot said, no, I'd like to use 1.8. I don't know why. Was it a shorter taxi? Was it the direction they were? I don't know, but opted to take off runway 18 instead, and our accident occurred on takeoff. So our story continues. At 18:15 and 58 seconds, the pilot contacted HSV local control, indicating readiness for takeoff. The local controller cleared the flight for takeoff from 18 left and assigned a left turn to a heading of 090. After departure, no further radar contact was received from the flight. Controllers attempted to contact the pilot, but received no response. Subsequently, rescue personnel were alerted and wreckage was located 1 nautical mile east of the airport in a wooded swamp. I have a picture of that wreckage, not in the swamp, but in the scrapyard, as you can see there. I don't know how familiar you are with a 206. A 206 is a big airplane. It's a big airplane. That's quite an impact. If you know anything about a 206 is a 6-seater, 3 rows, right? Co-pilot, pilot, a middle row, and a back seat as well. And about all that's left there is the back seat in this. Contributing factors. Visual conditions prevailed at the time of the accident with a thunderstorm in the area. The witness account mentioned rain and gusty winds. The presence of thunderstorms and associated adverse weather conditions could have significantly impacted the flight. Decision making. The pilot elected to depart from 18 left despite the ground controller's suggestion to use 3.6 right to avoid the level 5 weather activity. The pilot's decision to depart in the face of known adverse weather conditions may have increased the risk of hazardous weather phenomena encounters. Lack of awareness of controller communication. Listen to this. The East Radar controller reported that the accident airplane never communicated on his frequency. So, hey, 23 Mike Zulu, contact approach. He never contacted approach, meaning he probably was in the process of losing control of the airplane or lost it even before that, indicating a possible breakdown in communication between the pilot and air traffic control. Failure to establish proper communication with the radar controller may have resulted in the pilot being unaware of the wind shear alerts issued for all runways. According to a witness account, the aircraft pitched up to an aggressive angle shortly after takeoff and appeared to be flying slowly. The witness observed a subsequent turn to the east, during which the aircraft's altitude decreased rapidly. The aircraft's behavior, described as smooth and controlled, suggests the potential loss of situational awareness and aerodynamic stall. Let me show you what they mean. And if you've experienced this maybe on a heavy wind day, the derecho, to keep using our buzzword, is in front of us here. They take off. The witness said it was an aggressive angle, and they looked really slow. And a 206 is a big plane, and it's a little bit slow sometimes, but they were up there. Then they went to make the turn. The wind is coming this direction. Watch this. The wind's coming this direction. And then you make that left turn, and you get all that wind shear and gusts under that wing. If you've ever landed on a gusty day and you've turned base, you've felt it before. Or turned crosswind, maybe you felt this before. Imagine it's what they say the derecho is hurricane force winds. Now imagine you're in it. Now you give it your belly, give it your side. It's like a ship turned into the wind, right? I mean, very much so could have just rolled them over as well. You have to think about, we don't know the exact answer with that. They do talk about the impact of weather on the aircraft performance. The presence of thunderstorms and associated adverse weather conditions such as rain, gusty winds, and potential wind shear could have adversely affected the aircraft's performance and controllability. Reduced visibility and turbulence caused by the weather conditions also contributed to the accident. You know, and you read these accidents, all weather related, and I want to ask you a question. This is interactive now. What do all 3 of these accidents have in common? Unfortunately, I know they all involve fatalities. Let's not go there. What do all three of these, in your opinion, have in common? That's a question I have for the chat as well. What do all three of these have in common here? And I'll kind of share with you my opinion. Then we'll give away the survival kit, and then we will we'll answer your questions here as well. Vicky Mackey says poor decision making. Ethan, poor aeronautical decision making. Danielle, second that as well. David the Aviator says weather. On Facebook, should never left the ground. BK said too confident. Interesting. Tatum said weather. Bradley, poor weather planning. Poor ADM, says Rick Marsh. Get there, Ida, says Dave. Interesting. Multiple strikes prior to the accident. That's a good one, Micah. A lot of ADM. Yeah, I see that, Clint. I see that. Weather, wow, I like Amir's comment a lot on YouTube. Weather interpretation. Yeah, everybody interpreted the weather to their benefit. And let me tell you something. If you ever find yourself flying and having to tell yourself it's going to get better, that needs to be like a red alert siren in your brain that goes off and says, oh, I remember Jason talking about this. Let's land this airplane. If you find yourself flying and having to justify your decision, oh, well, it's clear over there, so it'll probably get better. Or, oh, well, that METAR says it's only broken at 1200, so it'll probably get better. Like, if you find yourself kind of stretching it to justify your decision to keep moving forward, that needs to be a red flag. If you're trying to justify flying into questionable weather, I'm just here to tell you, I'll be the voice in your head. That should be a red flag. Let's go to our alternate. Let's go to the nearest airport. Let's land this thing. I hate to keep relating back to the JFK Jr. accident. John F. Kennedy Jr. passed, I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was like 37 perfectly good airports that had lights, a beacon, and fuel that he could have landed at. I just think you keep going on. And Emil, you're right. That in its way is like a hazardous attitude, isn't it? Just to keep going. It's a little bit of macho hazardous attitude. It's a little bit of, it's even impulsive in a way, like just do something, just keep going as well. I like Fred's comment. He says, I always use the saying, when in doubt, get out. Get out of those conditions. You don't need to find yourself in those conditions. Mike said, if you see the derecho, no go. I totally agree. I totally agree with that one. But, you know, I said this last in-flight coffee. By the way, in-flight coffee will be next, not tomorrow, but the following Saturday. So plan on that as well. I am doing a drone live stream tomorrow at 11 o'clock, though, on our Remote Pilot 101 channels. If you want to watch that, it's International Drone Safety Day tomorrow, at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Anyways, where I was going with that, though, is this. You see, knowledge isn't power, knowledge is potential power. I can make you the best stick and rudder pilot since Earhart, since Rickenbacker, since Jaeger. We can do that. But teaching you to make good decisions is the hardest thing. And you have got to begin to practice making smart decisions in the airplane. Not just in the airplane, but in your lives and everything else. Good decision making. We want to have a long, long career in aviation. And aviation can be unforgiving if we choose to exercise poor decision making. Great, great comments. All right, let's get to it here. We are going to give away the survival kit, so let's talk about what's in it here. First off, you're getting the CO detector. You're getting a checkmate checklist called Surviving the First 24 Hours. Really, this needs to be read, not when you're stranded somewhere. You need to read this like ahead of time as well. You ready for this? The coolest thing ever. And the MzeroA team gave me implicit instructions not to touch it, which, is this bad decision making? I'm touching it. A handheld signal flare. Show of hands, who wants me to set it off live? Magda's waving at me saying, no, don't, please don't do that. An Orion, the brightest name in safety. A handheld signal flare. Read the instructions, but yeah, I did fly a drone. Didn't I fly a drone once live, Magda? Didn't even crash it? Yeah, that was, okay. And this is like a tent, you know, you open it, you're never gonna get back. Oh, good job, Magda, on the camera angle there. Let me look at my computer out of the way. Emergency drinking water. There's a compass in here. You need to be 18 years old or greater to win. There is a knife in here, a whistle, your compass, signal mirror, space blanket, first aid kit, and a signal flare. Like that's just cool stuff. It comes in this really, really nice, again, I'm not gonna get shut now. Really nice Pelican case as well. And what I do, let me see if I can get it shut. If you hear the signal flare go off, whew, I actually keep this. This fits right underneath the 172 seat, and I keep it there. It's actually Velcroed to the carpet, because if it's not on me, it's not going. So my rule of thumb is, it's on the seat, I can grab it, and it's just coming out, and I'm going out with me. It'll float, it'll do everything. So anyways, I have our winner. So Magda, do you have like a drum roll sound effect or something along those lines? A few people said, if I don't win, can I buy one of those? Yes, we bought it. From Aircraft Spruce. It's called Flight Level 220. Flight Level 220. All right, Magda, do I have a drum roll sound effect? She says no. She's looking. She has applause. Okay, the winner. I saw the winner on here earlier, actually. I know that, okay, I'll give you some hints. I met this person at Sun and Fun. So if I didn't meet you at Sun and Fun, I'm sorry. I met this person at Sun and Fun. I'm gonna do my best on this person's last name. Our winner from North Florida, the Panhandle area, is Andre Acevedo. How'd I do on that? See, my Spanish is getting good. Andre, are you still out there? I saw you on earlier. Did you get the claps? She has claps. So we didn't add a drum roll there as well. So very cool. Congratulations, Andre. Congratulations to everybody who participated. Don Move said, don't use the drum effects. Use the flare. Exactly. Again, this was not given to us. We paid for it. Flight Level 220. We made a kit very similar to this on Spruce. It wasn't that expensive. How much was it? Anyways, Andre is there. There's Andre. Show Andre's smiling face. Look at that. That is just how happy he was when I saw him at Sun and Fun too. Andre, we're going to ship this to you. I'm sure we have your address because I know Andre is also a ground school member of ours. But just in case, Andre, will you email us? Magda, where would you like that email to go to? She's also telling me this is a $600 value. We'll reach out to you, Andre. My people will get in touch with your people. All right, and we will make that happen. Congratulations, Andre. Hey, can I share what we're giving away next month? I'm really excited about it. Okay, she's not gonna share it. So next month, we go into mock. This contest is not up just yet. You can't enter till May, but you ready for this? So May, we always do mock check ride May. All the YouTube videos, all the ground school webinars, the podcast, everything is gonna be geared towards check ride prep as we're going through this. The giveaway is gonna be a 1 hour, one-on-one Zoom session with me, and I'm gonna be quizzing you, delivering personalized to you a mock check ride. How cool is that? So one lucky winner next month is going to get to sit down with me via Zoom. We'll record the whole thing for you as well. And I'm going to personally write out a syllabus, write out all the check ride questions. I'm going to put you on the hot seat, and we're going to ask you all those questions. Of course, there's a little teaching in there as well. So that's our giveaway for May. So if you have a check ride coming up, you're not going to want to miss all our May content. You're not going to miss the May live stream. And maybe you could win that hour-long mock check ride for the oral prep from myself. So that would be really, really cool. So that'll be super fun. Hey, let's open it up for questions. Questions, comments, concerns. My goal is to have you out of here at top of the hour at 9 o'clock. I know it's getting late for many of you. Anything we need to celebrate, any written tests, any check rides done lately or anything along those lines, let's celebrate those as well. So let's go ahead and ask away. Anything's fair game. Doesn't have to be related to what we talked about tonight. Anything aviation related, I'm more than happy to chat about it. And again, if you're looking for help for that private check ride, that instrument written test, just being the best commercial or CFI that you can be, don't forget the trial, MzeroAtrial.com. Before you spend any money with us, You're going to be listening to me for a long time. So make sure you love my teaching style. You love the MzeroA team, the family, the animations, everything. Check out some of the lessons at MzeroAtrial.com. So awesome. Bruno, that's right. Thank you, my friend. Congratulations as well. Micah says IFR written in May, check ride in June. Well, mock check ride in May is right up your alley, my friend. That's great. That's great. Adam said, any parking lot ideas I'm willing to share. Wow. The parking lot's back at the house, otherwise I would open it up. I've got some good ones lately, though. I had a really good one today. I can't share it right now. It's good. Jim Beauchart asked, is that the plane Ken Heron's going to land? This one right here. So for those of you who know Ken Heron, I'm going to be flying up to Tennessee to let world-renowned Ken Heron fly to their Zulu. And the video is going to be a drone pilot transitioning, a remote pilot transitioning to manned aviation. It's going to be a good little series as well. We're going to do that in July, Jim, in July. So come to Tennessee as well. Ethan, it is crazy it's mock check ride May already. All right. Danielle said, I watched your latest accident analysis video and I didn't understand what you meant by a VMC spin. Yes. Magda, is the Tecna model here? She's going to get the Tecna model, and I will show it to you. A VMC roll is the word that was used. Let me grab a sip of tea while she grabs that real quick. If she can reach it, it's on a really high shelf. I hear her jumping. Were you jumping? Did you have to jump to get it? She says no. I don't think that's true. Okay, so here's what happens. In a multi-engine aircraft, both engines are spinning, life is great. When this engine dies, right? Sound effects are free. When this engine dies and this engine is still at full power, they didn't feather this or anything, you get a great yawing effect. If you get too slow beneath what's called our VMC, our minimum controllable airspeed in the single engine environment, you risk stalling and rolling the airplane. Because what would happen is this engine will overpower this dead engine and literally torque you over. Does that make sense? This engine's dead. This engine's still at full power. We get too slow, you will literally torque yourself over and do what's called a VMC roll. Thank you for that, Mac. That was great. She says she didn't have to jump. It was on a really high shelf. I'm pretty sure she did. Whoop, as I trip while I said that. All right, let's find some other questions here. Seaton asks, you're flying with an aft CG. You're on base and overshoot final. What are some problems you may encounter with the plane? Your final. Okay, your final right there. I'm coming out of the chat. I'm on base. I overshoot final. I've got an aft CG. Let's talk about an aft CG first. What are some dangers of an aft CG? What do I mean when I say CG? CG is my center of gravity. It's where everything would balance, right? It's where everything would balance. This is the CG of this little pen, right? An aft CG is where it balances somewhere back here, let's say. It's all about leverage. If I have an aft CG, I'll exaggerate it and I'll say it's back here by the baggage compartment. My distance to my key components, like my rudder and my elevator, which are helping me with that turn just as much as my ailerons are, especially the coordination factor of that, that arm is much shorter, thus rendering those less effective. But you just gave me an analogy where I'm blowing through final, so I'm going to have to use more of those control surfaces, but I may not have the leverage to do such. It's no different than if I have a socket wrench and I have an aft CG is no different than grabbing the socket wrench here and trying to torque something or do something with it. Right? I'm not getting the same leverage as opposed to if I grabbed it here, now I can get leverage. It's no different. In aft CG, the distance to my tail is shorter. I'm grabbing the socket wrench here as opposed to a forward CG underneath where I sit a much longer distance back to my tail. It's like grabbing the wrench here, making my rudder and my elevator more effective. So to your analogy, if I am overshooting, I need more of these control surfaces, but they're going to be less effective. Think about it in a crosswind environment too. I have run out of rudder in an airplane before. It was an aft CG plus a small rudder. I'll never forget hitting the floor of the rudder going, I'm out of rudder. And it was a crosswind, 18 knot wind that day. Not all crosswind, but it was a gusty day. Not in this airplane. It was a Commander 112. But again, this is what you do. You ask, what do you do? If I'm here, you're my final, I overshoot final, I'm going around on a base. And I'll make a nice gradual, shallow climbing turn back around to a departure leg or an upwind leg and come around and do it again. It's just that simple. You should never, the only reason you should overshoot final is if you do it on purpose because you're trying to S-turn for some spacing, but none of these aggressive turns back around, please. It just, if you spin it base to final like that, you're not going to recover. Serious pilots, you're too low to pull the chute. Like it's not going to end well with that. Username Kronk said commercial check ride on Thursday. Any tips for last minute corrections on the power off 180 if too high? Wow, it's much easier to get down than it is to get back up in that case. I'd rather you be too high. Don't forget the power your slip technique. Don't forget to know and analyze everything what the wind is doing. Don't use flaps till you know you have that runway made as well. And then dump them all in when you know you do. Treat it that way. It's much easier to get down than it is to get back up. So I'm not going to be mad if you're 25 feet too high. You can lose that like that with some slip action, with some flaps, assuming you can do slips with flaps extended in your aircraft as well. All right, let's find some more. All right. Any updates on Audible for the check ride book? Yes, Chuck. So we have all 3 check ride books on Audible, Chuck. If you just go and search on Audible, I'll do it right now for you. If you just go and search Jason Schappert on Audible, you'll see Pass Your Private, Pass Your Instrument, Pass Your Commercial, and you'll also see the Private Pilot Blueprint, all on Audible. Thank you to all the reviews. 1,293 5-star reviews on Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride. Y'all are awesome. It is so cool. It is so cool. Congratulations on that. All right. Other questions, other comments. Again, this is your time to ask them. I am yours. I do need to get 2 little ones to bed, though, here pretty soon as well. So let's see anything else. Eric Pittman said, sorry, he's late. Just had a flight lesson. Well, we're about to say bye, Eric Pittman, so I guess you'll have to catch the recording. It's worth it, I promise. So Bruno, thanks for purchasing the instrument as well. Ethan, thanks for the kind words on the audiobook as well. Listen, it's the books, it's the podcasts, it's the online ground school, it's the YouTube videos. Like MzeroA is not just like a book or a course or a YouTube channel, right? It is so much more. There are so many amazing resources out there for each and every one of you. And I hope you just take charge of each and every one of them as well. So listen, if I don't see any other, oh, David the Aviator said, when will Aviation Mastery be on Audible? I might know something about that. I cannot give you any dates though, because if you knew how long it took the Private Pilot Blueprint to get on Audible, it was months, and it was just Amazon dragging their feet for them to approve it. Oh my goodness, it wasn't that long of a book to listen to. All right, I'm going to answer Vicky Mackey and then Michael H. So we're going to say bye here. Have you ever done a water safety course? Vicky Mackey said, I learned so much from it yesterday. I learned a little bit being a seaplane pilot, but never did like a water safety course. I've always wanted to do that thing where you sit in it and they put you, you're strapped to a seat and they put you upside down underwater in your seat. Like that's a dream of mine. Magda's saying absolutely not, but I'm thinking I would love it. I think that'd be, there's scuba divers there to keep you safe as well with that. Michael said, did ground school at college, yet all I actually learned came from you, so I appreciate your efforts to keep us flying safe. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Another Michael H. said, best cross-country destination in Florida. Wow, there's a lot of good ones. Magda, ideas? Cedar Key is always a favorite of ours. I'm sure Judy, the taxi lady, still, she's been going strong for the past 30 years. But Cedar Key is great. It's a short field though, so be ready for that one. A lot of fun. There's so many good little airports. Out of the state, it's in Georgia technically. Magda and I love going to Jekyll Island is another great little spot we love going to. I'm picking all these short runways though. That's also a short little runway. Yep, Albert Whitted is a great airport. Water and water on both sides. A great little restaurant there. You sit up on a balcony and look at all the airplanes and helicopter tours. Albert Whitted's a great little airport. Man, there's a lot of fun ones. A lot of private strips and stuff. So we go. That's what Vicky Mackey did. I want to be strapped to a seat and have someone just dunk you upside down underwater and you have to escape. Doesn't that sound awesome? Magda's going, absolutely not. I think that'd be awesome. So, Brian said, I'm 50. I'm making a career change to aviation. Good idea nowadays? Golf clap. And thank you for your service, by the way, as well. My friend, listen. Danielle, how long ago did Magda and I have this conversation with you about this exact topic? Aviation is a booming industry. The pilot shortage is a very, very real thing. And you are making an excellent decision, my friend. Go all in on that decision. Don't drag your feet. Just go all in on that decision. I know you may have a good career, whatever it may be, but I'm going to encourage you. You are not too old. If you say, oh, I want to go airlines, then they're going to make me retire at 65. That may be true, but go get in with some wealthy family, part 91, flying their jet till you're tired and, till you're, 70-something years old. Then you can actually do whatever you want, right? That's the kind of stuff. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't make good money as a flight instructor, because that's a lie. Don't let anybody tell you to make $1 million in aviation, you got to start with 2. I hate that. That's a lie. I cancel that. It's not true. There is money to be made in aviation, right? If you're willing to put in the work, put in the effort, and work smarter. Everyone's trying to work harder, but you need to work smarter in what you're doing. And coming through COVID and even out of COVID, it's never been a better time to pursue this career. Do it quickly, do it with all your heart, and you're going to be rewarded, not only financially, but rewarded with what you get to do for a living. I don't feel like I have a job. Mac and I don't feel like we have a job. Like, we have a really cool career. We get to talk about airplanes, we get to fly, we get to be home each night. Like, it's amazing. Get it done, my friend. So, like Eric Pittman said, you gotta go all in. You can't have a foot on each side, right, and expecting half with the career, half here. It's just a hobby at that point. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make a career, you got to go all in with it. So, and it is an awesome lifestyle. So, listen, thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for playing full out. I know it's a Friday night. I know there's basketball games on. I know there's all this cool stuff happening right now. Thank you for playing full out. I'm live again tomorrow. Not on this channel though. We also do drone training too on Remote Pilot 101. So go on YouTube if you're there and just search Remote Pilot 101. I'll be live on that channel tomorrow. Facebook, same thing, Remote Pilot 101. Tomorrow's international, I know it's international, but I'm calling it international. It's Drone Safety Day tomorrow. I'll have Ken Herron on, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Vicky Mackey, that's like 6 a.m. Alaska time, I'm sure. We'll be talking all things drones, drone safety. We'll be doing some airspace quizzes, going over some sectional charts, everything else as well tomorrow. So look forward to seeing you all then as well. Then the following Saturday is in-flight coffee. So you'll be seeing a lot of us as we dive into Mock Check Ride May as well. Listen, thank you for playing full out. Thank you for your agreeance on revival here as well, as we continue to learn, as we continue to grow in everything that we do. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see ya.